they're not bad. Hey, like I said, FaZe Clan just lost first place to Ninjas in Pajamas, who entered the day tied with Ints and Team Liquid. Will FaZe Clan take that spot back, or will we have a tie atop the standings with Team Liquid? Where are we going to play? We're going to Coastline. So this is a very good map for both teams, but I'm going to give the nod to Team Liquid on this map.
Yeah. This is also a very rare one at the moment, just in that it's been played once. Not by either of these teams, but just once this half of the season so far. Obviously, there's other things that go on outside of Pro League that they played in and things like that. So it is, as you said, a good map. But
BR6 is actually on right now, by the way. I did not know that. BR6 is not on right now.
It's not going right? Like, meaning
it's not
like
going right now.
In parallel with the season.
Team Liquid won BR6 a couple months back, and they're not, it's not active right now.
Yeah. I imagine probably won't be too long for it again.
I would guess it's probably back after the 6th Invitational. I'm not, unfortunately for us, keeping track of like the scheduling of Latin America tends to be quite challenging.
We also have to pay attention to Challenger League, other events that go on. There's a lot. And it's only going to get crazier over time. Like, there's only going to be more things going on as things go on.
Gradually, the things that we need to learn is steadily increasing.
Yeah, that's where we're going to, eventually just going to have people filter the data.
Still don't know why kids love the taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
You know?
Maybe one day.
Maybe like Apple Jacks, they just eat what they like.
Applejack's not in Canada.
Really?
Really.
Unfortunate.
This is very close. Very, very close. 50% of you think Team Liquid to 42% for FaZe Clan and 8% of a draw.
So the draw really just stole the percentage from FaZe.
Team Liquid are like far and away the most popular team in Latin America and possibly the world.
It's the Marvel deal.
Also, I think FaZe Clan had to back out of the lobby. They were all in the lobby.
Yeah, everyone was here, and then FaZe just pieced out.
While we were in the break, two things. First and foremost, I don't know if he's watching it, but Justin Woods, Lycan, the coach of Space Station Gaming, announcing and tweeting that he had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
We know the feels.
As we are both type 1 diabetics.
Yeah.
Which means that our immune systems hate our pancreases.
Yeah.
And beats the stuffing out of them.
Yeah.
But type 2 diabetes, obviously just as bad. To Justin Woods / Lycan, please send some love his way. Appreciated. We, if there's anybody in this community who nothing bad should ever befall them, it's him. Dude has a heart of gold.
Yeah.
Really nice guy.
I really like Lycan.
He's a veteran.
I don't enjoy his tweets, but I like him as a person.
He's a veteran? Why? What did he tweet?
He's very contentious on Twitter.
He's a big teddy bear, man.
I know. He's a nice guy.
I like Lycan. He's a big teddy bear. He's a veteran. He's, he was in the Navy.
Yeah. Just graduated.
Just graduated with his degree.
Yeah.
So, and now, unfortunately, he has fallen ill with a chronic illness. So send him some love.
Yeah.
Please. I don't know if any of you care about North America, but please.
Yeah. Speaking of sending some love, it's also my fiance's birthday today.
Happy birthday,
and now I'm here casting Latin America. So a big, huge shout out to a very, very wonderful person who deserves a wonderful birthday. So much love out there. Definitely going to be, watching this and just waiting for birthday to happen.
He was supposed to be in Warsaw.
Yeah.
And then he kind of gunked up his sleep schedule. And then
here we are. So
I don't have to solo cast.
Yeah.
You know, your loss was very much my gain.
It certainly was.
I'm so sorry.
But that's all right. At least it doesn't take all day. But if FaZe doesn't speed things up, I'm going to start to get a little upset at them.
We're waiting on cameraman. So if you need somebody to shame.
Yeah, cameraman.
You can get in this lobby right now, young man.
Yeah.
You get in this lobby right now.
You're really.
He's in the lobby, by the way. He literally just got in there.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I hope Kix is alive, by the way.
Yeah, that'll be good. So you may see him in the future.
I mean, talent announcement went out today for the 6th Invitational.
So as you saw, he's slated.
He was on it.
If he doesn't get better, he may just be on it.
Now accepting applications for a new co-caster, as Kickstar is.
Well, then we have to pick up Sexy Cake.
Kickstar is a zombie.
Yeah.
I think Kix would cast from the grave. What do you think? I think
he probably would. Yeah, it would be kind of. He'd haunt the desk.
Yes. Oh, he'd haunt the desk.
Doesn't that sound cool?
That does sound pretty cool. First ban.
All right.
Hibana. She has been getting a ton of bans on Coastline.
I mean, you really want to be able to sit in cocktail. Or pink, as you like to.
We're not getting this.
No, we're not. No, we're not. I'm leaving it there. Dokkaebi going to get banned.
One of Liquid's.
The slight buff.
One of Liquid's.
Now,
most popular operators to run on attack.
Now the question is, do they ban Echo? Yeah. Well, that's so. It's interesting that they themselves would ban the Echo then. But makes sense. I guess if they ban their counter to the Echo, they don't want to have to deal with Echo. So last ban likes to be Mirror? Nope, Maestro. But definitely some bans that are setting things up here in terms of making sure they can deal with what basically they're preparing on the bans. I do imagine with Maestro and Echo out, unless Mira is like really putting up a roadblock, this could be faster attacks than we saw last match.
The question is are we going to see a Mira, right? Because if you think about it, yesterday when we watched the Coastline matchup against BDS and Na'Vi, there was very minimal Mira play. She really wasn't that much of a staple. And that is honestly, that's a trend line that we've seen many, many times. Right now, Liquid's first defense, they're not going to bother with a Mira.
We also even see that when Echo's unbanned, some teams just don't play him.
I mean, there's the reason why you don't see dedicated hard breachers on a map like Coastline is because of just how much soft destruction there is.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just all down to the one wall that Hibana hits, which is the pink wall.
Which might also be a kitchen over by the bathroom from main lobby. Those are really your only
the
two
other
walls,
the other one's not as important, but it's helpful.
Yeah. Even in kitchen, you can go around bathroom very effectively. Yeah. So it's not the end of the world, right?
No.
You don't really need it. But
it's just helpful.
But the thing is that if you run a mirror on most of these sites here, the first thing you're going to do is take the floor that the defenders aren't playing on, and there's always going to be a Buck or a Sledge or a Zofia or an Ashe or something with tons of soft destruction in play, and you're going to lose the advantage that a mirror brings you because what are you going to do? You're going to sit on it for 2 seconds, it's going to get droned out, there's going to be a Buck that goes up onto that second floor, or a Sledge that's going to go up onto that second floor, or there's a Buck that's going to go below you, and they're going to shoot just once, they're going to smash just once, and then they're going to get the mirror window, and that's it, you're done. So
it'll be interesting to see what the Finka plays into all that.
Yes, and this is a very good example of how 6th pick works effectively. FaZe Clan running a lineup that looks very standard, and then a Finka is brought as your 6th pick. FaZe loves Finka, single-handedly keeping that operator relevant in this game, and by doing so, it allows for... Oh, are we going to smile? Any smilers? No, he's not smiling. It looked like he was going to set a... smile. But anyway, Finka allows for a really aggressive push on in and able to take up ground really quickly and drone effectively, roam clear effectively, get on in. 30 seconds. I don't think we've... There you go. There's one of the adrenal surges. And you can see that FaZe entering over from Sunrise, but then also over from Office. And they'll find the very first kill of the round and the very first kill of this matchup onto PSK.
I mean, they really want to just take map control quickly and then use the Nomad to hold it. And that means they're going to be playing a little bit stacked up as a unit with that Finka. The smoke really has the most important job to make sure he uses those smoke canisters effectively when those adrenal boosts are going out. But you don't necessarily have a way to know as a defender when those have gone out to time your smokes. So really, they just need to prepare now. They see that the push is pretty heavy. They've lost one player. They have shields. They have smokes. They have C4s. Now it's just like, okay, let's really just try and identify where they're coming from and just push back against it. And not get flanked by anything stupid. Like we have enough people to watch our flanks. And then it's on FaZe to start to poke holes as fast as they can. They poked at least one by taking out PSK first. But now things slow down a little bit for them, and they're going to drone. So this is where they need to be careful and to make sure they don't give away too much information about how they're going to push. Because they have some advantage. Buck's going to open things, or soften things up a little bit, as you mentioned before. He's going to be starting to open it from below. But Liquid are not in a bad position. They just need to hold their angles.
Bomb located by attackers.
See if 6K can pull this off here. Interesting red dot choice.
6K loves his unconventional housings on his weapons and unconventional loadouts as his fight over on the balcony will not net a kill for Liquid, but there's 2 for him, putting that MPX to good use onto Mav and Yuna. Doesn't really matter what the fire rate is if you're hitting them on the head, and that's exactly what he does. Down goes Caravan 2 as the Vector of Nest just shreds, probably finds his own frag. And Astro in a 1v4. There's a run out from Sexy Cake, wasting an awful lot of time, and this is embarrassing. Astro unable to hit those shots. I think we've all been here before. He's got his back turned to a window, and there is somebody from Team Liquid crouching on up. Very close. Diffuser in the doorway. This means that Astro will need to expose himself somewhat to be able to get it. And there could be 2 different members of Liquid watching it. Maybe just 1. Maybe 3. Who knows? It's very clear that he's blind on information and doesn't know exactly what to do next. And he's done and dust. First kill goes to FaZe, but the first round goes to Liquid.
Now, this is the flip side of the no hard breacher situation, right? It also means you're not opening up any unexpected holes or even expected holes. You're pretty much just going through the holes that either already exist in the map or that the defense opens up. And that means a lot of bottlenecks. And that's what we saw there is FaZe were a good start, a good setup, but ultimately, during the time where they're setting up to push in, Liquid did exactly what I said, which is just steel themselves for the push through those holes. And FaZe being set up for a bit more of a like pour through mostly single entry points, just if the timing's not perfect or they don't start to kind of catch Liquid off a little bit, a team like Liquid isn't going to fall for that. They're really just going to be better prepared for that, and they pretty much just fell into the meat grinder at that point. And that's the problem. Is there's limited areas for the attackers to open up to really set up themselves. It's defenders to be in control of it, and as long as they're on top of it and haven't lost too many players early, it's totally doable, as you see. Now, of course, we'll switch bomb sites, though, and see how that goes. We may see a different result as well if we go to Hookah next time. They might go for a different attack strategy, and it likely could be more successful. But the attack's actually going to bring the same lineup here for Kitchen. Now, of course, they could be thinking it's going to be another top floor bomb site, but very unlikely to be so. So you're going to be playing a lot more top-down here because Kitchen and Bar are a lot more popular than Penthouse generally is, for a good reason. So with Hookah being one, pretty much just going to have to plan for, okay, we need to take either Penthouse or VIP and play from above, and likely both. VIP's, is somewhere they're going to have to go for either way, for the most part. It's just a matter of where they initially enter into the map from. But with the buck still available as well, we could see some pressure from down below. There are quite a few good places you can buck people that you kind of know they're going to be playing inside the site here. And honestly, if you buck well, you could also take out those Goyo shields from below and just set up the angles. But they have to be a little bit more extreme angles because of the lip around the gas can, which I think was a smart design in limiting how accessible Goyo shields are.
We've seen players, I think, on upside-down rappels and just on rappels in general, looking at those canisters, unable to shoot them because they come so close. It's very similar to the bulletproof cameras.
Yeah.
How you have to be exactly next to them to get around the housing that you actually can't shoot through. Aggravating to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I think overall these shields, the way they can be also used against you, are reasonably balanced. Mm-hmm. The only problem is you get to quite a few of them, and then other teammates will bring shields, and it becomes a shield fiesta, and that's not fun.
FaZe once again rolling with the same composition that they had involving the Finca. And for Liquid, well, they are really holding tight upstairs in and around Penthouse. This is an unorthodox site and not one that we've actually seen a lot of. Ness gets flushed out by a Vulcan shield exploding in front of him. And nobody's able to follow up, though, from FaZe. As the Adrenal Surge will signal the push from FaZe to happen, but nothing happens from it. You followed along with that one, of course. Back to 90, though, is Nesk. He's lost the shield and he's lost some of the cover, but he hasn't lost the confidence to play from that spot. Meringa down below, just weathering the storm, as you can hear the Buck doing his job upstairs. Mav is formidable on that operator, and he's going to be able to tear up most of the floor inside of VIP, as Nesk has still not moved from 90. He is still there, and he can catch somebody if they push on out. Fires a little bit too early, and, well, with the recoil control from the Adrenal Surge, you can lay into whomever stands in your way. Nothing from Ion, not able to hit those shots. So you fall back as FaZe continues to do the soft destruction work, but they have not been able to clear out Penthouse yet. Nesk is still there. PSK is still there. Diffuser's getting planted, though, so Liquid doesn't seem to understand this. Yuna's managing to just get away with it. He's right at the window. 2 kills from FaZe as they manage to storm on in. They got the opening pick in round 1. They'll do the same in round number 2. The floor above the diffuser is still intact. All of the presence from Liquid is off-site. They lose Nesk. He's not able to do much. Palu over by Penthouse. He'll head towards Luggage. Lights up Ion. He gets the kill, but his job gets even harder as he loses his teammate. 1v4, Diffuser miles away, and he doesn't have anything going for him. Over half of the timer, you don't even get to hear the Diffuser going on in the background, as there's not a lot of tension to build. Palu knows this one's over. He's just going to sit inside of the main lobby, maybe pick up a frag or two. Why don't you stat pad? Go for it. There's the Zofia. Can you win the engagement? Shotgun out, pushes on up to Astro. He's not going to get anything. They tussle, but nothing comes of it. Round number 2 goes to FaZe after Yuna decides to dive into the kitchen, reading that Team Liquid was too spread out on that second floor and exploiting a blind spot in the defense of Liquid.
And that's something you're always going to find with any kind of bottom floor defense on a 2-floor map that has soft destructibility on the floors, is you're going to spread out, right? Because you need to control that top floor. But that always opens up opportunities. It's similar to vents on Border, where if they're just really weakly defending it and they don't have a great setup for retake, you can take it. And that was definitely an opportunity. In Kitchen as well is one where there's very few positions you can sit safely because of windows and doorways. You've got the bathroom to worry about as a rotate. Lobby tends to get pushed. There's going to be people pushing from Sunrise Bar. You got the window in the kitchen itself to worry about. You also have delivery you're going to have to contend with. Because of all that, you're not going to sit a ton of people in sight. You do need to spread them out a little bit, but they need to be well prepared for retake. If they're not, that's what's going to happen. Is you're going to be able to take site, you're going to be able to get plant down, and all of a sudden now you are being funneled in, much the way the attackers were in the very first round. So well done by FaZe in reading that opportunity, taking advantage of the Finka to get a little speed boost there as well. And they're going to run the same lineup for the most part again. We'll change up from cameraman there. Liquid. Going to go to a different bottom floor bomb site. Now, they could have tried kitchen again, but seeing the difficulty with that, they're going to go to a different bottom floor one. But this offers similar opportunities. However, I think this one's sometimes a little harder to sneak into and plant because defenders tend to have a little tighter top-down control. I feel like a lot of players play around and in hookah, not as spread out. But that's up to Liquid, right? They obviously can play more spread out if they want to. But after last round, I have a feeling they're going to play a little bit tighter to site or a lot better prepared for retaking or rushing back when things come down. They've obviously got some cameras as well in form of the black eyes to get some intel on that. But without the Maestro, those cameras could be short-lived. However, no IQs being brought to spot those out preemptively, which is interesting to see, like with the, how prevalent Valkyrie is on this map. That you're not going to have that, but it's not part of FaZe's plan. They want to bring a different yellow-colored operator icon.
Same lineup for FaZe. Third round in a row. When is it going to break? At this point, you're going to be six-picking off of the Finka at some point so that Liquid suspects it, and, well, you'll go with something else. But there's no guarantee that FaZe is even going to need to do anything with this because they've obviously got it mapped out, and they like it a certain way. Now, Liquid's unorthodox setup that we saw surrounding Penthouse was good, but FaZe Clan decided to just avoid it, and Liquid did not get too aggressive with that positioning. Nesk at 90 did not push on in. So what did Liquid do? They had to retake, and they couldn't do so effectively. I don't know if we see a run-out potential here for Nesk. If he's trying to work around an air jab, there's nobody there. He gives his position away, and he'll head back into service. So at least without any drone work done, FaZe knows where Nesk is on the map, or at least the general location of him. There's a drone on Cool Vibe stairs as well. It sees C4 in hand of the Valkyrie as, well, she's ready to toss it on up. Mav needs to be very careful about this, and Yuna's just going to continue to give calls. ADS goes off as a frag grenade gets dropped on in, and the Valkyrie's safe for now. Great arc on that C4, but Mav with the right call onto the billiard table.
So we need to be careful about the drone angles. Had they not identified that C4 is being in hand, he very likely would have died to it. It was definitely a good play, but Sexy Cake just got outplayed in terms of intel. There is going to be one air job getting taken down. Ion, of course, is there to respond to it, but unfortunately just didn't have the angle at the right time. Still gets Paula, but he is now lower on health, and there is backup. So they need to turn that into something a little more impactful, but in the meantime, at least controlling White Stairs.
For PSK to come on up as he's next in line of sight, and he's gone. 2 kills for FaZe very quickly. They've been winning every single opening engagement here, and they're going to continue to do really, really well. Nest gets felled, picked right back up. Moringa claims 1 for Liquid. He'll need to head on into the site, sustaining significant damage, and he's not even going to get through the doorway. FaZe Clan snatched that second round out of the hands of Liquid, even though it wasn't particularly close at all.
Now, definitely, it's starting to seem now almost like that first round was a warm-up for FaZe, just because they've been playing so much different on their attacks. They really ran into just a lot of issues with being bottlenecked before. Now they're actually being able to spread out. They're finding opportunities in Liquid's defenses instead of the other way around. Now Liquid can go back to hookah. So this is where we see, have FaZe figured things out, or has it just been the other sites are a lot easier for them to deal with because they could take top floor control and pressure from there? Hard to say. This one, bottom up, is a little bit harder to play. Playing a buck from down below, it is very easy to get yourself killed if you're sloppy in your work. You can force people out of positions, but defenders are often going to be comfortable just shooting you in the face from those positions as soon as you expose yourself. You're not going to necessarily get a lot of C4 thrown down, I suppose, is the advantage. But at the same time, it's going to be down to, can they find an opportunity? And really just, let's push from Aqua, let's push from 90, and maybe Cool Vibes at the same time as the doorway. A lot of that kind of cross-pressure tends to work fairly well, especially if they can clear some of these shields that are going to be coming out from Nest's Goyo play. But, again, that's going to depend on also how Liquid stack up. Liquid could also go for a much stronger roam this time, knowing that FaZe might come from more flanks and just be better prepared for that and set up for trades a little bit more off-site, play kind of together in duo roams.
10 seconds to go.
But again, they did very well on the first round, so I doubt they're going to change too much, but it does look like they are stacking up a bit, or not stacking up, the opposite of that, roaming a bit outside of sight, and kind of depending a bit more on the usual, which is to have a smoke, kind of holding things off, and then these 90-degree plays a lot of times from Goyo work pretty well. The shields really offering a lot of opportunity to the smoke as well, because he can clip his smoke through the wall in the drone hole to be able to deny default plant spot without having to overexpose himself. But if he has to expose himself more and swing wide, he's got the shield to help.
Are they not? They're fixing smoke propagation, right? At some point.
Yeah, I was talking about that yesterday.
Yeah,
they talked about that before. They wanted to make it more like Capitals.
Yes.
It's just a matter of time. They want to make sure it doesn't cause more problems, I imagine.
You can have lots of thoughts on the situation, but smoke clipping through walls is a
if it's
a puzzling one.
Use it now while you
might
can.
as well use it. I can't fault somebody for using something that's very perfectly legitimate, even though it is a little bit greasy. If you want to call it that. There's an adrenal surge, and Ion losing a bit of HP before it can be enacted. Palu inside of Sunrise. He has an escape if he needs it. He can get out of Sunrise bar. Yuna's watching him. Is he going to be able to get there? Yeah, he does. The Mozzie gets away, so we'll head up to Cool Vibe stairs. And for those that aren't aware, the defenders can hear the adrenal surge, whatever you'd like to call it, where you decide to put the emphasis on that word. Half the round gone. And FaZe Clan's rush setup that they have and they can do such good work with has largely found no success. There's only Ion inside of the mudroom. That was it. So they'll go back onto drones. I don't know what the struggle is here with this hookah site. This is the second time where FaZe doesn't really know how to pressure it. You can get somebody inside of the main lobby. You get somebody over by... that's where Astro's positioned. You get somebody over by the double bars. You can start working away at the floor. Push somebody out. Toss a frag grenade up. I don't know.
This is where a team like Liquid would be using that Dokkaebi to be able to get a lot better idea on the positioning, because the droning's just not doing a ton for them. Mozzie obviously doesn't help with that, but they're getting slow in terms of being able to pitch and really control the roamers. They have the Nomad, but that's more of like a prevent retake sort of thing.
Oh.
Sexy Cake with a nice fight downwards because, well, they didn't control inside of Hookah from the doorway.
Nice hair, nicer aim on that one. And you lose Ion. He had been in 3 different fracases. Diffuser is still down. Nobody's been able to get it yet. I don't know if Sexy Cake is aware that he has it in the corpse of Ion on that first floor. 40 seconds, and now FaZe moves on over. Mav grabs the diffuser. ADS is doing their job around Sexy Cake upstairs. The toxic canister will go off over by the Goyo shield. Soft destruction is still available for FaZe Clan, but they cannot drone the site at all. Palu's job as a Mozzie is proving to be quite effective. PSK finds Liquid's second kill as FaZe has been unable to get on the scoreboard. It will continue to get worse for them as a Nitro Cell punishes Yuna, and FaZe are staring down the barrel of a flawless round for Liquid, even though there's been some significant damage for Liquid. On Repel is Cameraman, but he knows he's not going to be able to get anything. Goodbye, Astro. Head onto the roof. Cameraman's not going to be able to do anything, and he knows that. 1 second left. Technically, a flawless round for Team Liquid, as they are perfect on the hookah bomb site.
And definitely wishing they could just keep playing that one.
Yeah. They're not going to be able to go back to it, so at best on defense here, maybe you win 2. They're going to have to win kitchen, double bars, or penthouse, which they haven't done yet.
Yeah, just to be clear, the reason they can't go back to it is because there's only 2 more defenses left, and they've got to wait 2 rounds before they can play it again. So, yeah, it's not going to happen again. They get their 2 wins on defense, and that could be it if FaZe can keep it up on the other sites. But I don't know. Kitchen should, in theory, be a little bit better for Liquid this round because they saw what happened last time they defended it. Unlikely to make the same mistake again. And FaZe, they're going to look for the opportunity, but now they've actually brought an IQ. So they're going to be able to at least spot the pests out ahead of time, potentially the Black Eyes, which actually are not even going to be in play now because Sexy Cake 6 picking off, but the Goo Mines will be spottable. You can't spot the Goyo shields, unfortunately, because they're, quote-unquote mechanical or chemical or however you want to consider it. They're not electronic, so you're not going to spot those at a time, but generally you're going to spot those with drones, especially if they clear those pests off. One thing FaZe don't actually bring on their attacks, mostly because you don't need the hard breaches, is no Thatcher, and that is making it a little more difficult for them to deal with some of these Mozzie pests. I suppose they can bring a Twitch, depending on the angle, to be able to clear some of those, but the IQ at least will help. And in this case, I think, to be fair, most of those you're going to spot anyways beforehand, but yeah, it's something that you possibly, the way it can really help is between floors, right? Let's say you spot it from above, and it's on a doorway that you couldn't get to normally. Being able to spot it from above, if you were doing it without an IQ, you're not going to hit that, right? You're not going to go, oh, I'm just shoot through the floor randomly and happen to hit that. However, with the IQ scanner, you're going to spot it, you're going to be able to shoot it, you're going to take it off the doorway, so assuming they can get good top floor control, that could benefit in that respect to actually drone site, because droning site, of course, is important when you realize there's a weakness on it and you can take advantage of it. See how long these Goo Mines will get able to be up. But I like the double ADSs here on Nesk, just to make sure this shield doesn't backfire on him. Backfire, of course, an appropriate description for when Goyo shields work against you. Yeah, They are looking for that top floor control, though. They want to take VIP, but there are players inside Penthouse. PSK also having the ability to rotate around to luggage, and also Aqua wants to control top of white. They're really just, right now they're trying to feel out also where FaZe want to come from, but also staying a little bit flexible so that if they do get droned out, don't spot the drone, they're not immediately just going to get killed for it.
Yeah. I think the one thing the IQ will really help with is getting the locations of the pests well in advance. You saw that FaZe seemed to be a little surprised by the fact there was a pest on that hookah door in the previous
It's not even just that, too. You could really, depending on the position, you could stumble into them where they capture you before you realize they're there.
Yeah.
And then now all of a sudden Mozzie has drone to use against you, because, well, with Maestro Band, any extra intel you can get on defense certainly helps.
Yeah. Drone activated. So, obviously the Mozzie being crucial here. Nesk likely lost his shield in front of him. That's why he's down on HP.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't help, but at least it wasn't killing blow. Despite the ADSs being there, but it's possible they hit it from the front without the ADSs being able to get it. That's the problem, is ADSs require line of sight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely exactly what happened. The shield blew up in front of Nesk at 90, so this is the very similar Penthouse hold that we saw from Liquid, even though the sight is down below and there's two ADSs near Nesk that can simply eat up any projectiles or throwables that get tossed his way. Palu's behind another shield, and PSK is behind another. So there you go. There's your spread for these Vulcan shields above. They were all inside of Penthouse and Theater. Drone positioned, and I don't know if that wall was supposed to blow up or not, but regardless, Palu gets spotted out and taken down. Nesk wins the fight. There are a few people who are able to take that one and walk away with a victory, but Nesk is definitely on that list. It's a push from FaZe over towards luggage, and Cameraman takes out PSK. Can he get away before Nesk re-engages? That's the real question. Yuna waiting for the call to jump in and maybe go for the plant. This is exactly what happened last time, but Moringa is a little bit smarter. Off of the drone is Ion. He loses the fight. Moringa falls to Yuna, and then an air jab does its job above. FaZe have full sight control. They're going to need to go for a plant. Yuna gets escorted in by Astro. 20 seconds left. Liquid trailing. Nesk drops. He'll have to head in. Cameraman watching the doorway. Both very low on HP. Astro will look in another direction. FaZe have basically every entrance to the site locked down, and Yuna can just sit on top of that diffuser and wait. Very similar, like a mother hen.
Yeah.
Nesk gets Cameraman. Not a lot of HP on the Ash. You're going to need to pick up at least one or two more. Legion runs out, gets spotted by Sexy Cake, and Nesk in a 1v2. We've seen him pull off miracles before, but do you believe? That's the question. No, he doesn't check to his right. He knows that there's one by service, but he doesn't know there's one sitting on that diffuser. FaZe, 3-2.
Well, that is a problem for Kitchen, is despite knowing that they were likely to have to retake it, there's limited ways you could do that. You're generally going to have to drop the hatch in the lobby or come from Cool Vibes, Sunrise sort of area in that doorway, and that's very constrained. Obviously, you're not going to come in from the window outside for the most part unless you really make a long run out from Sunshine or Sunrise. I suppose you could go for that, or even jump out hookah window and run over there, but you're going to get spotted before doing that. The one thing that did sort of work in their favor is Goyo at least had to rotate through the wall, the soft wall of Kitchen out to Courtyard. But the thing is, you open up the whole wall there out to Courtyard, line of sight-wise for the most part, partially to be able to facilitate retakes, right? To be able to drop down to Courtyard, fight players inside Kitchen. But when they take that delivery sort of area inside where it's very well secured by the kegs and things like that, and they plant there and they hold from there, you can't get any line of sights in from outside. You're going to have to fight through the doorway as the Legion did, or try and creep in through the one rotate that was available. Because it's limited constraints to come back, you lose that sight, you lose that sight. You're not really able to take it back super effectively. One thing that could have benefited them is having a lot more holes in the floor, especially for that plant spot, because then they could have fought that from above a bit more effectively. And something to look out for in the future is they really should better prep. How can we, let's say we can retake above, but we can't take sight. How can we better control sight from above?
Liquid didn't really make any changes, right? Like, all they did was literally reposition Moringa so that he was watching the window.
Just spread out differently.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got the SMG-11 with which these ADS changes have gone in, which is the aim-down sight changes for those that are not familiarized with the patch that we were playing.
We also say ADS for two different things, just to not be confusing. There's Jaeger's trophy system, which is referred to as active denial system, and then aiming down sights.
I honestly think it just needs to be renamed to Magpie in general. Like,
yeah.
Just because it's called that on his elite skin, just call it a Magpie always.
I think we used to say trophy a lot more.
Trophy system?
But that also is confusing, because there used to be trophy and chalet. And,
yes.
Yeah.
There's also trophy in Bartlett.
Very true, but that was... so, all right.
Bartlett!
I just got schooled.
Anyway.
Right.
Good riddance.
All right. Thank you.
But... No, yeah, so ADS stands for aim down sights, which is slower now. So it is slower for you to aim down the sights of your gun, which might change the speed at which we see engagements take.
And that's also part of the reason we see the commando instead of the G8 right there, possibly.
Could be. Also, keep in mind, angled grips will be the great equalizer because they will once again speed it up for those that were not following the patch notes. Essentially, what happened was sometime in, I think it was Grim Sky or Ember Rise, what happened was there was an error where the speed of ADSing, that is aiming down your sights, increased. It was not supposed to do
Yeah, they were
this.
tweaking the animations.
Yes, it was not supposed to do this. So, anyway, it's been reverted.
Today.
I guess Palu doesn't need to ADS here. Very slow ADS speed for Jaeger, who takes a chunk of HP away from Astra after he himself had nearly lost that fight. And a drop through the hatch as the Jaeger will get away scot-free. So Liquid will trade us a tiny bit of map control. They'll fetch Ion with that C4. Sexy Cake has been absolutely outstanding on this Valkyrie. Down goes Nesk on Cool Vibe Stairs as cameraman tries to go a little bit too courageous, and he gets gunned down. Palu finally gets spotted as Astro gets his intended target. And now more on the shoulders of Liquid. But they definitely have a health advantage with 1 minute to go, even though it is a 3v3.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, 3v3 is not the worst. They still have the utility to help be able to take sight. I mean, you wish you had smokes or something else like that to cover a plant. But at the same time, they're going to have C4 and smokes, very likely 2 C4s and smoke canisters. So it's going to be very difficult to actually get in sight without being denied and get a plant down. So they almost have to go for frags or at least push the players out of sight or out of areas where they can huck throwables pretty much to be able to take this. And PSK1 on a long flank here over in Office, it's really going to make it difficult because you're not going to push him out of there. He's going to be someone that can come in. If he gets the communication right, it's just the right time to stop anything they try and do.
Grenade goes down, but it picks the wrong side of the map as Moringa just doesn't even have to move a tiny bit. It blows up in front of him. Good coverage from Liquid now to watch the narrow entries on in as there's still soft destruction. Unit tries to jump in through the window. Diffuser surrendered. Moringa with the shotgun out has another target in mind. It's the Buck, but it'll be Sexy Cake to get it first. Great play by Liquid, and they'll win the round quite easily as Astro gets finished off as well. It's a 3-3 half.
That's actually really good for Liquid on Coastline because Coastline being a bit more attacker-sided overall just because of the way the map plays out. And I mean, a big part of that's the lack of need for hard breach, right? That all alone already speeds up attacks and improves them in terms of like less you have to juggle with and deal. But that's good on Liquid. They mostly leaned on one site, to be honest, in terms of like wins, but still equalizing on a half. That's pretty good here on this site. So, I mean, this map. But Bar to start with. Despite the strength of Hookah that we saw from Liquid, FaZe want to do something a little different. I mean, we'll see if it pays off. It's a bit risky. We saw Bar did work out the very last round, at least, for Liquid, so it's certainly defendable, but it's trickier than Hookah is. All right, Amaru instead of Lion.
Okay.
With a gridlock. So this is either the play or it's very much not the play. Most of the time, it's been very much not the play, unfortunately. You applaud Ubisoft for trying to be creative with the operators, but sometimes it goes a little bit outside of the Pro League box in terms of what's ending up working. Like Nook, I'd say, has a slightly better success rate, but still also not great. Warden's also sometimes a bit in there. There's these operators that have these very niche roles, and maybe it's going to be like Castle, where we see him come into play much later on if meta shifts and things like that. But right now, Amaru's a big risk. The amount of time it takes, and combine that with an ADS speed, change down, you're at a huge disadvantage. You're flying in a window head first, ready to be shot right in it. So, I mean, if they pull it off, they could drone first to make sure it's clear and just get up quickly, but this is a 2-floor map. I mean, you're not really gaining a ton. 3-floor maps, I think, benefit more. Cafe is an example of a map where there is some benefit to bringing Amaru. I think it hasn't really worked out, but there's some. We saw, for example, the one player throw the grenade there first to clear Heaven, and then try and swing on in, and it worked okay. I like the scores are like relatively even, except for Moringa is the outlier there, 5 instead of 2.
Moringa has really been a standout performer on this squad, and he has, I think, breathed new life.
His ratings didn't necessarily reflect that earlier either.
Well, he's playing up against his old squad, and I think that there's some, value to saying that his time with FaZe had come and gone, and the sun had set on that particular roster. He became a bit of a journeyman going to Black Dragons, and now with Liquid, but he was instrumental in Liquid winning DreamHack Montreal, or almost winning DreamHack Montreal, and then winning OGA Pit. Apologies for misspeaking. As they finished second to TSM at DreamHack Montreal. But he did what he needed to do, on both attack and defense. I want to see what he's going to do with this Amaru play. And yes, it is Amaru, not Amaru, as everybody seems to be dumbfounded by the name.
Does it? I mean, is that really like the official? Like, it's really just a slightly different emphasis.
Amaru is how Harry says it, and I'm just going to go by that.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I'm just going to go.
He is the leader.
Amaru. He also says like Hibana or something like that. So
oh, that's different.
very, very strange. Anyway, C4 expended, and it does not get anything. That's not ideal. Trying to see if they can bait out yet another C4 as Paulo goes for the breaching charge on the ground. A set of track stingers goes off. It'll be the second one as Sexy Cake surveys the hole that's opened up above. Gridlock, of course, very well kitted. She has access to a super shorty as a secondary and can do some significant damage. Nesk takes out a bulletproof camera inside a courtyard. He's got all that line of sight down to the lobby that was created by the soft destruction. He's opened it up with his sledgehammer. He'll go back to crouching just behind the cocktail bar. Will he win the fight against Astro? No, it sounds like they will both chase each other off. Nobody commits to it. Nesk missing his shots.
Well, Amaru doesn't seem to have really changed stuff here. So far, no one's engaged each other, and 45 seconds left. FaZe is doing a great job staying alive and spread out, really. Liquid are not doing a fantastic job of pinching them or doing much with their utility. Yeah, they've got some top floor control, but all the players downstairs are just taking in the view at this point. As I say that, though, Yuna does find one onto Paula, at least traded back onto Ion, and then Yuna again. So the shotgun working out quite well in this battle. And that's Diffuser down in a very tough spot to reclaim it.
Yeah, this will be a challenge for PSK, who's going to have to swing on in as a single shot is all that's going to matter. And Yuna's obviously been putting in some major work. Nesk smashing through the barbed wire, but he's on cool vibe stairs. He's not going anywhere. Nearly a flawless round for FaZe Clan as they will grab the lead yet again after these two teams had drawn at the half. Very first defense for FaZe proves to be successful.
A huge amount of that due to Yuna just hanging out in a doorway with a shotgun.
Everybody from Liquid pushing on their own.
Yeah, well, that was not the play.
Yes.
Definitely was not. This is just, I don't know, again, like the rounds that attackers are losing are very often off bottlenecks. Just not pushing from multiple angles or not pushing players out of position with utility. We'll see how Bar goes, though. Or not Bar, Kitchen. But Bar seemed to have been a good choice for FaZe. They played it very well. Their roam was really uncontested for the most part. And then, I mean, I got to imagine Liquid was going, okay, well, they're spread out all over the map. Maybe we can just push in to Sunshine Bar, or Sunrise Bar. I want to call it Sunshine all the time. It just sounds more positive. But yeah, I guess we don't really need a positive spin on a bar.
No.
But that being said, yeah, they thought they saw an opportunity to push in. Obviously, you know they were looking for an opportunity to plant because they were carrying the diffuser early on without necessarily having early picks. So they were thinking, we can get in this doorway, but the fact that they didn't know Yuna was just standing there with a shotgun, it's a big misplay on droning. Could have been some pests or something. I don't remember if they were running Mozzie last round. I don't think they were. But they might have been, and that might have been stalling things out a little bit. Obviously, there was a mute as well, as that was what Yuna was playing. So they may have been a bit denied on droning, but it's really not that hard to get some intel in that room because there's a doorway, a window, another doorway, a window, the ability to shoot the floor from above and get some intel downwards. Like, a pest or mute jammer alone should certainly not stop you from finding out what's on the other side of the doorway you're trying to plant on. So that was a big misstep for Liquid last round, but FaZe took advantage and see if they can do the same thing again. You got Ion taking up Yuna's position with the mute jammer. He's got a bit of utilities, what looked like an ADS, I think, and a shield. We are going to see a change from Yuna and onto the Alibi as well. He's going to have a bulletproof camera, it looks like, to be able to get some extra intel from. We saw the bulletproof camera last round as well from Doc, and I imagine that's probably Mav again bringing that. Because, well, with the Maestro Band, again, get that extra intel. They could obviously play with the Valkyrie as well. Probably only going to get a drone with that C4, which actually looks like it's moved on now as well, so just pre-placed at this point. As long as there's no holes in the floor, you won't hear the C4 through it. So that's why you want to take advantage of extra cameras or there bits of intel that don't involve a hole in the floor so that you don't give that away early. Here's C4 continuing to get ripped. He might have been able to pick it back up, but I don't know. It's a bit high of a ceiling to do that.
Continuously hearing the noise as well every time it gets ripped, which will be Nesk understanding that there's somebody there on those cool vibe stairs.
Sometimes that's just to deter them as well. You want to rip that Velcro and just make them think, I don't know if I want to push this.
I don't know if you can retrieve that Nitro sock.
Especially,
Cameraman is trying. There you
wow.
go. Mozzie is very small, but apparently he has very long arms as he does his Mr. Fantastic.
Maybe you should be the counter diffuser then.
That's a good point. You ever find it funny how they can reach C4 that's like 7 feet above them, but they can't reach a diffuser that's a foot away?
It is.
What is that?
It's a tricky life. Well, it's it's the range of the little Bluetooth hacking device, I guess.
I guess that's true. That's a good point. I guess I never thought of it like that. So, anyway, Liquid are being very slow and very precise and deliberate as there goes a breaching charge above Astro. He's going to see stars as he backs away, stunned for a moment. A run out from over on Sunrise Bar nets nothing, and that's Ion now, just trying to hold down the fort. It's a kitchen defense. The double bar is proving to be successful for FaZe Clan. It was won once by Team Liquid, and, well, you mentioned that Yuna was the star of the show for that one. 2 members of FaZe Clan spotted inside of the main lobby, so Liquid knows exactly where they need to go next and what they need to do. Bear in mind that with where they're positioned, they can get back into the kitchen pretty quickly. Moringa just unable to capture one member of FaZe Clan as now he wrangles above. There's soft destruction coming out for the defenders too. Liquid opened things up, but Yuna's there to refrag onto Moringa, so goodbye to the Buck who was making his nest above. 30 seconds left, and still Liquid have been unable to clear out the FaZe Clan defenders playing inside of the lobby. Just as I say that, PSK is there, and you speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Goodbye to Astro. Things will heat up now as the second kill for Palu comes out. Cameraman will have to rotate, drops to the courtyard. 3 kills for Palu, and this job of cameraman is all but impossible. You need to watch too many angles. One's prone, and Liquid will win it. Doesn't matter. You can't land those shots. PSK and Palu. Big rounds for them. Tie game, 4-4.
It's really looking like tie game. It sure just feels the back and forth, yeah. I mean, you had a split half, and then just the back and forth. I mean, certain bomb sites seems to be working better than others. It does surprise me things turned out the way they did for Liquid that round, just because they were very slow on pressuring a lot of the players of FaZe, and especially with the slower ADS time. You get a ping, right, and you've got to try and act on it. You saw the Buck struggle with that, right? The slightly slower ADS time, trying to get the player down there. He bucks. You've got the gadget switch delay already before you get back to the C8, and then trying to ADS on top of that. But it seemed like they collected a bunch of intel, and it didn't expire as quickly as FaZe would have liked. They didn't move out of positions, or at least move out of the general areas fast enough. And Liquid able to actually act on the information, but not only to act on it in terms of kills, but also in locking players out of sight to get that plant down. And that put a tough position for Cameraman to be in at the end. Tried his best, but like I said, too many spots to check for. Just well played by Liquid on that attack. These attacks, though, very slow. So at the end of the day, FaZe are doing well on their roam on a map that is very difficult to roam on. It's just they need to find a way to delay a little bit longer. And that would be enough, because Liquid are very slow on actually cordoning off these defenders, which is, I mean, maybe they're just so dependent on that Dokkaebi sometimes. And we saw that Dokkaebi actually used even very well. What was it, TSM versus SSG on this map? So,
very annoying operator. Obviously, she gets shut down when mute is extremely prevalent here. FaZe Clan ran a mute the first time. It did not do so again, and now there's a Mira coming in from Yuna. All right.
Surprisingly, not a lot of those, given the fact that it was unbanned.
I just think back to the soft destructive capabilities that we see on a map like Coastline, and a Mira is a tough tactic because she will lose those mirror windows if you're not really.
But the main thing is, I mean, for Hookah though, it's definitely good because like holding off towards the billiards is pretty easy. But I have noticed a trend towards a lot more teams. Oh wow, Sexy Cake with a nice kill on the Smoke of all things early on. That was a bit of a misplay by Smoke. Might have tried peeking a slight crack. Astro also took a lot of damage.
That might have been from Nesk, so both members of FaZe might have put themselves in the line of sight of Liquid. And
that's not going to help burn time.
Yeah, one of them walks away successfully, the other one does not.
What I was going to say, though, is a lot more teams are starting to pressure a Hookah doorway now, a Hookah itself. I feel like you used to see just this constant slamming your head against the wall, trying to pressure Aqua and plant Aqua. And that was just always the thing. Let's continue to plant default spot. Let's smoke it. Let's push. Let's just aggressively play from the windows. But now teams are really starting to pressure a lot more, and it's oddly enough when Purple Tarps is no longer a thing, which was a thing that actually made it a lot easier to pressure Hookah through the window. But either way, this is an appropriate time to do so, as now that Mira window will really make it difficult to push from Aqua. There is, as you said, the soft destruction, and you see, of course, the unit taking advantage of that by opening up holes on either side to be able to play from. He's also being droned out, but it's not giving you a ton of intel like, oh, hey, there's someone playing behind the mirror window. Kind of expected. So not a great trade for a drone. I mean, now you know who it is, but you're probably going to figure that out from the doorway without losing the drone.
This is unusual for Latin America to have the pacing that we've had for both of these two matches.
I gotta blame the ADS time, even though that's probably not it, just because, you know, it's an obvious thing to blame.
Default plant spot from Sexy Cake as he goes for it. Yuna knows that he can't do much with Nesk watching, and, well, Yuna peeks anyway and dies. Liquid will get away with murder on this one. Very well done as they get the plant off and Sexy Cake manages to get away. That was almost entirely orchestrated by the fact that the bottom floor was cleared out and then Liquid just watched. You've got every cross held. Nobody's going to be able to get in from luggage. Nobody's going to be able to get in from Aqua. There's the C4 that goes out, but it's Mav against the World now, and he's not going to get anything. The World wins! Team Liquid takes the lead. Their very first lead of this matchup.
They really shouldn't have been able to get away with that. It was... No. I mean, I don't want to blame Yuna because he's been playing great, but yeah, he lost that round for them right there. It was singularly his job to stop that from happening. As soon as he died on a peak where you have the advantage because, of course, you have the window there, that right there just cost him everything. And unfortunately, I mean, if the players of Liquid were just more on top of it, you're going to be peaking a pretty predictable angle. You're going to maybe head lean or slight strafe over to the holes you've already opened at head height. And, well, that head height's pretty well lined up with the mirror window, so you can kind of predict exactly where that head's going to be if you pre-fire it and take advantage of being ADS to before Mira is, with that slower ADS time. Like, I know it's the new thing today, so we're just kind of reiterating.
Talk about it a lot.
But it really backfired. Yuna losing that spot and Jaeger not being able to do anything about it and stop that plant. But I don't want to blame it all on Yuna because you know who I want also blame it on? The smoke player. Dying early, being unable to huck smoke over there from a more safe position to stop default plant spot also severely cost them that round. So just those two players dying was enough to allow default plant spot. Something I was saying has been difficult to do in present day, especially with the mirror window. So Team Liquid, due to an early pick and a little bit of a misfire by Yuna, pull it off. We are going to see our first Capitao, though, as he was banned in the first match, but he's being brought out here by Sexy Cake. So that could help with a plant. Say you vault in even from kitchen window, because you can cut off both rotates into the kitchen. You can cut off the door on the left there on the east side from delivery, and the door from the Sunrise Cool Vibe area on the west side with just 2 smoke bolts as well as fire bolts. And they can't really do much to come in there. There's also limited angles to be able to throw C4 and smoke in at you, depending on your positioning. So Capitao was a good choice. You can also use it for delivery plants as well for a similar strategy. So I think it's a good choice. We'll see if it pays off. You could even use it, let's say someone's near the drone hole in bathroom, but not at an angle where you can hit them with your gun. You can burn their little toesies off.
I'd be surprised if we see an execute push from Liquid, knowing how easy that last execute was in round number 9. They did not make that. They did not make FaZe have to work at all. They just got in and they got out.
It's because they didn't focus as much on the roamers and burn hell of time on that.
Exactly. So, I would not be surprised if we see Liquid just go for something very, very quick. This is, of course, a kitchen defense downstairs.
We saw how FaZe took advantage of that.
Odd that FaZe had the double bars available to them and they don't take it. So,
and that was their one successful side.
Yeah, this could go very poorly for FaZe Clan, but we'll see. A kitchen take very quickly with a buck from above or a Zofia or a sledge from above. Man, that's a lot of soft destruction for Team Liquid, and then you've also got the Capitao to watch the delivery door. If it all hinges on one single defender for FaZe Clan, then you end up in a world of hurt, and that could be in the hands of Yuna.
I mean, there's 2 big things the defenders can do to really hold the site. Well, one is have 2 players in kitchen area, but in positions that Buck or Zofia cannot really easily get them from above, so it burns their time while they're looking for angles and trying to toss grenades, especially if you have ADS as well prepped down there. And then on top of that, be prepared to retake top floor and set yourself up for that. Those 2 things alone can make it very difficult to take the site. If you don't do that, you end up with what we've seen, which is some good kitchen attacks in the past here, taking kitchen relatively uncontested.
There's a Nitro Cell from Cameraman, and it finds Moringa. Nesk answers back by taking out Mav. Is there going to be an execute towards the site? One member of Liquid will decide to move over towards that server entrance. PSK knows that there might be somebody inside of the main lobby, but the proximity-based concussion will not net a thing, so you can just continue to guess if you're Liquid. Nest from above with the wall completely opened up. He'll just watch, and he can see all the debris flying as Cameraman and Ion are both up top. That's a rotate. Nesk might be able to get this. He just narrowly misses the shots, but Palu does not. And all Cameraman can do is sit there and watch as his teammate falls in front of him. He'll decide to go for it, though. Lights up Nesk, but does not do enough damage, and Palu is not quick enough to get to the trigger. There was a plant that was being attempted from Sexy Cake. PSK guns down Astro. Nesk drops. Yuna pushes in. PSK's there to try and watch him. Yuna will run right through the fire, get traded off, And match point for Liquid. FaZe, at best, can draw. Excellent closing moments of the round for Team Liquid as they had control of both the second floor and the first floor, and they have been so good at locking FaZe out of the site once they begin to push it.
I mean, really, they're taking advantage of what FaZe did well to them, which is if you're going to roam, don't try and engage all the roamers. I mean, they did an okay job of that before, but that really burned so much of their time. Liquid are doing what you said, which is just locking them out instead. Go, okay, well, we can cordon them off, and that is one of the reasons we've repeated many times why this is a difficult map to roam on, is you're very constrained in your rotations with the exception of the courtyard. The courtyard, of course, can become a killing field very easily when you drop into it predictably. And so because of that, because of the ability to play from the roof as well and to get a lot of angles on a lot of rotations, you're very constrained in where you can go. So if the attackers take advantage of that, they can lock you into very many areas without you being able to do a whole lot about it. C4 is one thing that did help a little bit. But if Liquid reads in your positions and instead of just spending time trying to hunt you, just locks you out of the site and gets into positions where you're walking into them and they can hold angles on a site, definitely works out in their favor. But FaZe going back to, as you said, double bar, the one site they were successful at, the one site they should have gone to earlier because now they wouldn't be on match point potentially. They have a chance to bring this back though. Very doable for FaZe here to be able to bring this to the likely tie we will see, but I don't know, Liquid seem to have adjusted very quickly on their attacks. And despite a little bit of time mismanagement early on, have figured out how to make plays. The fact they were able to pull off those rounds, of course, gave them the extra points, but there is definitely still a strong chance that FaZe could lock it. I mean, Liquid could lock this out in a 7-5 or even 7-4.
I mean, I haven't really seen all that much to inspire confidence from me out of FaZe Clan on the second half of this map. It was very even through the first half, but FaZe are very clearly struggling with a Hibana ban, or at least just on attack in general. I don't know if the Hibana ban is necessarily the reason for that. However, this bar setup that we see from FaZe, the double bars, of course, in what could be the final defense from FaZe, if Liquid proves to be successful, will be one that Liquid has confronted before. It's a very common default setup with the floor of blue bar shot out into courtyard. You're likely going to have one or two people from FaZe up top. Mav is making a home inside of office. And then there's two members of FaZe sitting inside of Sunrise because nobody is crazy enough to sit inside a blue bar because, well, you've shot out the floor and you got to rotate in it. The remaining members of FaZe will be up top. The cameraman's actually over in kitchen, so maybe it's not quite as usual as we would imagine.
ADS in pocket for Astro as well. I gotta imagine he's expecting a little bit of a clear here, but I mean, he's not in a great spot. He's standing like exposed to doorways and potentially windows just to try and get this peek. He's gonna give away his positioning as well, and that's the element of surprise gone.
There was a Zofia outside on drone while Astro gets some support to go on out there and maybe pick up a kill. Well, he's going to have to be wary of a Claymore. PSK has moved on over to the ruins, so there will be some security there as you can't fire through those stones. And with him being prone, that Valkyrie camera might have also bitten the dust. That would mean that Astro would not have the information required to be able to make a play onto the Zofia. Even an opening pick here for FaZe onto PSK or Palu, who have been carrying Liquid through the second half. Well, that would prove to be pretty smart. There goes a drone. Did it spot Astro? That's the question.
It definitely spotted Yuna, not that they weren't going to expect him to do the same thing as last time, but
yeah. You got to push him in more than one way. C4 goes out, and it looks like it might have gotten shot. Neska's down, though, as it's a run out from Astro. It's all the way over, and he manages to get two with it, tries to get back inside, won't be able to do it, but still very much worth it. That opening pick for FaZe could prove to be the difference maker, as Yuna will still sit by this mudroom, shotgun out. Mav with a good spread as he's by offices too, so he could go for a run out to pressure all the side of the building, where Liquid will go to try and push on in towards this mudroom.
Well, it's still sad to see Astro die with an ADS in his pocket or a trophy system. What was it? I'm trying to remember the bird name. Magpie, that's right.
Magpie.
Try and call them the Magpies, just to transition away from ADS.
There you go. Yuna gets overhealed from the dock of Ion. He's got shotgun in hand still. He picked up 3 kills from this exact spot last time. He's a little antsy. There goes a shotgun blast right through the smoke. He downs one, finishes off. He's gonna go fishing. He does quite a bit of damage to Sexy Cake. All he needs to do is wait. Pushing on in is the gridlock. He loses the fight. Sexy Cake is making it his own. He's not gonna be able to do too much. It's a one-on-one. Palu will now need to find Mav, who is very far away, just waiting inside a blue bar. Will Palu get him in time? No. FaZe Clan, they'll take round number 11, setting us up for a draw between these two teams. The double bars have been a good sight for FaZe, but they'll have to win somewhere else if they want to just get 1 point out of this match with Liquid.
Well, that's what we saw Liquid do, right? They bar itself was the one that there was the They finally won on their last defense. But it's really been not great on the other sides here for FaZe on their defense. That would have been frustrating at the end of that round as well. Running around with a goo mine in your pocket, just slowly ticking away at your life. Also probably causing you to make... I'm not sure if it does when it's doing the tick damage. If it causes you to make little grunts or screams or whatever, and they have the dialogue on, they might be able to hear that and give away your position slightly. I'm not entirely sure on that, but just something to think about. But good job with the goo mine there. And Yuna really doing a lot of work, but Astro with the run out plus Yuna, the way he was playing, that just completely denied, again, a similar push. Liquid not really adapting well to that site still. Kitchen, though, this is a risky one. It's not been the great site for either team. So far, not a single defense won on it from either. So, not the best choice to try and tie things up at the end, but they're certainly going to try it.
I mean, the only other time that they've gone elsewhere was Hookah, and it was not successful. That was when they had the Mira playing inside of Hookah looking towards Billiard.
That was due to some mistakes that don't have to be repeated.
Well, I mean, I think that's easier said than done, though.
Absolutely, but don't peek with the smoke in the window. And there, step one done. Don't stick your head at bullets.
Liquid did an excellent clear below, though, and knew that they could walk in and go for a default plant, because the only person who could stop that was Yuna, who would have tossed a C4, and Ness was watching and daring Yuna to peek, and Ness won the fight after.
Very true.
That's exactly what
happened. It was
happened.
just well executed as well. Sexy Cake there up at the first one of the double digits, but the kills actually are relatively balanced out. Sometimes we see, a lot of certain players kind of not carrying the team, but certainly getting the lion's share of kills, and really that's not been the case. Both of these teams really well spread out, and everyone kind of doing their job as best they can. Obviously, gadgetry and things like that don't really factor into it the same way, though they do factor into score if you're using the kind of ranking as part of that, but...
This is part of what makes Liquid such a threat, as there goes the C4. Cameraman losing his life as he tries to battle Nesk, and FaZe might have just cost themselves that 12th round, and 3 points for Liquid, which would push FaZe down out of first place. But as I was saying, as those two gentlemen decided to interrupt my train of thought, this is part of what makes Liquid such a threat, is that you get somebody like Sexy Cake, who statistically was, I believe, down there with Moringa for worst stats on the team, and yet both of them have been doing great today, especially Sexy Cake, who's top fragging. And when you've got so many, players on Liquid who are capable of taking over a game, then you need, as your opponents, need to be really, really good at shutting you.
And FaZe is also an equally really well-balanced team. There's a lot of players that really show up time and time again. So, those ratings are just aggregated over 6 days. And I think by the time we get towards the end of the season, both these teams will have very well spread out ratings. But like you said, that Liquid and FaZe both have people that will show up when they need to. And that's why we're so close to a draw already.
Yeah. So, down below, Sexy Cake will cut off a flank route in towards offices. Some setup from FaZe still above. Very final round between these two teams. Mav loves this setup, by the way, on the UMP. It's a subtle nod to Troy. They are both very good friends for people who need to know. Troy Canadian, formerly played on Evil Geniuses, loves bananas. There's your setup. There it is. That's exactly why Mav runs it.
At least we know he doesn't lack in potassium.
It's true.
Oh,
shot from Ion on the Nesk.
Man.
There was very little HP on that sledge left, so not quite as nice as...
Still, the fact that he didn't take any damage in return makes it extra nice.
Yes, and that cost FaZe absolutely nothing. Settle down for the showdown, 45 seconds left in the very final round. Draw on the board for FaZe Clan. Will they get it, or will Liquid be able to strike a dagger through the heart of their nemesis in the region? These two teams have fought an awful lot with each other, and Liquid are obviously repositioning. Once again, another flank route has been cut down from Sexy Cake. He's still got one track stinger left. Position of the UMP given away, and there's no way Mav is going to win that. He doesn't even do a single point of damage to Sexy Cake. And next in line is going to be Yuna. Most of the defense from FaZe, though, is still upstairs. And Yuna wins the fight. He goes all over Sexy Cake, but PSK shuts him down. Now you'll have to drop if your FaZe Clan. Shotgun out. Ion will need to re-engage onto the buck of Moringa, who'll go through the wall, take him down. And Astro in a 1v3 doesn't give his position away. He just needs to shut down that diffuser, but he's not going to get there. Liquid, excellent coverage from Palu, the monster himself. And 7-5 as these two teams ever so close. A couple kills here and there, and we get a very different result. But today, Liquid is the better team.
Certainly, the score isn't necessarily going to make it as obvious as how close that was. It was just Liquid being a bit better on attack. Just a little bit extra is what Liquid needed. They got it. Now that's really going to help their score today. But ultimately, I don't know if that's going to make a huge difference as things continue to stick around the top. But it could be the difference maker on who goes to the LAN finals in terms of, say, a 1 point here or 1 point there that happened to be off of